"Please trust me," the Apache woman whispered. The rancher freed her, and love took root. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes, and looked around at the place she now called home. It was not a home at all. It was a ranch. She had never imagined she would end up here. She had never imagined her life would change so suddenly, like a story being turned upside down. One day she was with her family, with her people, and the next day she was in a place she did not know, a place where her voice did not matter. She had been captured during a raid. That was what the people in charge called it, but she did not see it as a raid. She saw it as a moment when everything she loved was taken away from her. She saw it as a long chain of fear and loneliness. She saw it as a life that was being pulled apart. Her name was something the ranchers could not pronounce correctly. They called her by different names, some rude, some careless, some just plain wrong. The Apache woman did not argue. She learned that arguing only made things worse. She learned that staying quiet was safer. She worked from dawn until dusk. Her hands became rough and calloused. Her feet became tired and sore. Every day felt like the same day. She woke up, she worked, she ate, she slept, and then she woke up again. There was no future, only a long chain of moments that seemed to never end. But she was not weak. She was not broken. Inside her heart, she carried a flame that refused to go out. She thought about her family often. She thought about her mother's smile, her father's voice, and the sound of children laughing in the camp. She thought about the river where she used to wash her clothes, the trees that shaded the land, and the sky at night filled with stars. Those memories kept her alive. They reminded her that she was more than a worker. She was a person with feelings, dreams, and a story. She had a name, even if the people around her did not care to learn it. The ranch was large, with wide fields and many animals. There were horses, cows, and goats. The ranchers were proud of their land. They believed the land was theirs, and they treated it like a treasure. The Apache woman worked hard to keep it running. She fed the animals, cleaned the stables, and helped with the daily chores. She was good at her work, but no one thanked her. Sometimes she was treated kindly. Sometimes she was treated with harsh words. The ranchers did not see her as a human being. They saw her as a tool that could be used and then forgotten. One day, while she was feeding the horses, she noticed a man watching her. He was the rancher, a tall man with strong shoulders and a serious face. He was different from the others. He did not speak much, but he watched everything carefully. He seemed to be thinking all the time. The Apache woman felt his eyes on her, and for a moment she felt fear. She had learned to fear people who stared too long. Staring meant judging. Judging meant trouble. She looked away and continued her work. But the rancher did not leave. He stayed, watching her with a strange look on his face. It was not anger. It was not pleasure. It was something else. It was like he was trying to understand her. The Apache woman wondered why he was so curious. She wondered what he was thinking. She wondered if he had ever been in her place. She wondered if he had ever lost something important to him. That night, she lay on her bed and stared at the ceiling. The room was small and plain. There was a thin blanket and a wooden floor. The air was hot and still. She thought about the day. She thought about the rancher. She thought about how different he seemed from the others. She did not know his name, but she knew his face. He looked tired, like someone who had carried a heavy burden for many years. His eyes had a sadness that made her feel a little less alone. She had never felt this way before. She had never felt like someone might understand her. But she also knew that understanding did not mean freedom. Understanding did not mean kindness. People could understand someone and still treat them badly. People could feel sorry and still not change anything. The next day, the routine continued. The Apache woman worked hard. She did not speak unless spoken to. She kept her head low. She did not make any mistakes. She did not want to give anyone a reason to punish her. But the rancher kept watching her. He watched how she worked, how she moved, how she carried herself. He watched how she stayed quiet even when she was tired. He watched how she never complained. He noticed small things that others did not. He noticed how her hands moved gently when she fed the animals. He noticed how she cleaned the stable with care. He noticed how she never wasted food, how she always made sure everything was in its place. The rancher began to think about her differently. He began to wonder if she was more than just a slave. He began to wonder if she was a person who had been forced into a life she did not choose. One evening, after the sun had set, the rancher called her. The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She did not know why he wanted to speak to her. She did not know if she had done something wrong. She walked slowly toward him, keeping her hands in front of her, showing that she was not a threat. The rancher spoke quietly. He asked her questions. He asked about her life, but not in a cruel way. He asked about her family, her people, and her home. He asked about the things she missed. The Apache woman did not answer at first. She had learned to be careful. She had learned that speaking too much could bring danger. But the rancher spoke with a calm voice, and his eyes looked honest. He seemed to be listening, not judging. She took a deep breath and decided to speak. She told him a little about her life. She told him about her family and the place she came from. She told him about the river and the trees. She told him about the nights when the stars looked like they were close enough to touch. The rancher listened quietly. He did not interrupt. He did not laugh. He did not speak harshly. When she finished, he nodded slowly. "I understand," he said softly. "I cannot imagine what you have been through, but I want you to know that I see you." Those words surprised the Apache woman. She had never been seen before. She had never been noticed. People only saw her as a worker. People only saw her as someone who belonged to them. But this man saw her as a person. Her eyes filled with tears. She did not let them fall. She wiped them away quickly because she did not want to show weakness. She did not want to give anyone a reason to punish her. The rancher looked at her with a strange expression. It was like he felt something he did not want to admit. He looked like a man who was starting to question his own beliefs. The Apache woman realized something in that moment. She realized that the rancher was not just a strong man who owned land. He was also a man who had feelings. He was also a man who might be able to change. But she also knew that change would not be easy. The world around them was harsh. People would not accept them if they chose a different path. The rancher could lose respect. He could lose his friends. He could lose everything. The Apache woman kept her thoughts to herself. She did not speak about what she was feeling. She did not want to ruin whatever small kindness the rancher had shown her. She went back to her work the next day. She did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would ever be free. She did not know if she would ever see her family again. But she held on to one thing that kept her going, the thought that someone had finally seen her. She continued to work, but her heart felt lighter. For the first time in a long time, she felt a small spark of hope. She did not know what would happen next, but she knew she would not give up. She would survive. She would keep living. She would keep her spirit alive no matter what. And somewhere in the quiet desert, under the hot sun and the wide sky, a small seed of trust began to grow. The rancher could not stop thinking about the Apache woman. Her face kept appearing in his mind, and he felt something he had not felt in a long time. It was not just curiosity. It was a feeling that made him uncomfortable because it made him question his own life. He had always believed that he was doing what was right. He had always believed that the world was simple. But now, everything seemed complicated. He was a man of the land. He had built his ranch from nothing. He had worked hard for every acre, every animal, and every tool. He had earned respect in the community. People trusted him because he was strong and decisive. They listened when he spoke. They followed when he led. He had always believed that this was how life worked. But the Apache woman made him see that there was more to life than strength. There was more to life than power. There was a world inside people that he had never bothered to look at. The rancher tried to ignore the thoughts, but they would not go away. He would wake up in the morning and see her in his mind. He would see her working quietly, her hands moving carefully, her eyes full of pain. He would see her standing under the hot sun, trying to survive. He began to wonder if he had made a mistake. He began to wonder if the people who had captured her were truly right. He began to wonder if the rules he had followed all his life were fair. The rancher was not a cruel man, but he had never been a gentle one either. He believed in order. He believed in rules. He believed that people needed to know their place. He believed that the world would fall apart if everyone was treated equally. But the Apache woman did not fit into his beliefs. She was not like the other workers. She was not like the people who had been born into the ranch. She was different, and he could not ignore that difference. He started to watch her more carefully. He noticed the way she looked at the sky when she thought no one was watching. He noticed the way her shoulders dropped when she was tired. He noticed the way she paused for a moment before speaking, as if she was always afraid of saying the wrong thing. He realized that she was not a threat. She was simply a person who had been forced into a life she did not choose. He realized that she had been taken from her home, and now she had no one. He realized that she was not a criminal. She was a victim, but he also knew that freeing her would not be easy. It would cause problems. People would talk. They would judge him. They would question his decisions. Some would even accuse him of being weak. He did not want to be seen as weak. He had built his life on being strong. He had built his reputation on being reliable. He had built his world on the idea that he could control everything. But now, he could not control his thoughts. He could not control his feelings. He could not control the way the Apache woman made him feel. The rancher began to talk to his friends about the situation. He did not tell them the whole truth. He did not tell them about the way he felt. He simply said that he was thinking about the way the Apache woman was treated. His friends listened, but they did not understand. They believed the same things he had always believed. They believed that the Apache people were dangerous. They believed that the Apache woman was not to be trusted. They believed that she was a problem that needed to be handled. One friend said, "She is not like us. She does not belong here. You should keep her where she is." "That is the only way." Another said, "She might be planning something. She might be waiting for a chance to run. You cannot trust her." The rancher nodded, but inside he felt conflicted. He knew that his friends were speaking from fear. He knew that they were protecting their own lives, but he also knew that their fear was not the same as truth. He thought about the Apache woman again. He thought about the way she had looked at him when he had asked her questions. He thought about the way her eyes had shined with sadness and strength. He thought about the way she had stayed quiet, even when she could have fought back. He began to wonder if he was the one who needed to change. Days passed, and the rancher continued to watch her. He started to treat her differently, not with kindness but with respect. He stopped giving her harsh orders. He stopped speaking to her in a rude tone. He started to see her as a human being, not as a tool. The Apache woman noticed the change, but she did not trust it. She had learned that people could change their behavior, but not their hearts. She had learned that people could act kind for a moment, and then return to cruelty the next. She remained careful. She continued to do her work without making any mistakes. She continued to keep her head low. She continued to avoid attention, but she could not hide her curiosity. She wondered why the rancher was watching her. She wondered what he wanted. She wondered if he was going to do something that would hurt her. One afternoon, the rancher approached her while she was cleaning the stable. The air was hot, and the smell of animals filled the space. The rancher stood quietly for a moment, watching her work. The Apache woman looked up, her heart beating fast. She did not know what he wanted. She did not know if he was going to punish her or speak to her. The rancher spoke softly. "You are good at your work." The Apache woman did not answer. She kept cleaning, but her hands shook slightly. She did not trust compliments. Compliments often came before punishment. The rancher continued, "I have been thinking, maybe you are not like the others. Maybe you are not here because you did something wrong." The Apache woman stopped cleaning for a moment. She looked at him, surprised. She had never heard a rancher speak like that before. The rancher said, "I do not know what your life was like before, but I can see that you are strong. I can see that you have a heart. I can see that you are not dangerous." The Apache woman felt a tear form in her eye. She quickly wiped it away. She did not want to show weakness. She did not want to give him a reason to change his mind. The rancher looked at her carefully. "I am not sure what I should do. I want to do the right thing, but I am afraid. I am afraid of what people will say. I am afraid of what might happen." The Apache woman listened quietly. She did not speak. She did not want to risk saying the wrong thing. The rancher sighed. He looked away for a moment as if he was thinking deeply. Then he said, "I do not know if you can trust me, but I want you to know that I am thinking about you differently." The Apache woman felt a small spark of hope. It was not a big spark, but it was enough to keep her going. She did not know what would happen next, but she knew that something inside the rancher was changing. She continued to work, but now she felt like she was being watched with respect instead of fear. She did not know if the rancher would ever be brave enough to free her. She did not know if he would ever be willing to risk his reputation for her. But she held on to one thought. Someone was starting to see her as a person. That thought made her feel a little lighter. It made her feel a little less alone. It made her feel like maybe, just maybe, there was still hope in the world. And as the days went by, the rancher continued to struggle with his own doubts. He struggled with the world he had built and the rules he had followed. He struggled with the fear of change and the hope of doing what was right. In the quiet moments, when the ranch was calm and the sun was low, he would think about the Apache woman and the way she had looked at him. He would wonder if trust was something he could give. He would wonder if he was strong enough to make a different choice. The rancher did not know it yet, but the seed of change had already been planted. And soon, it would begin to grow. The rancher could not stop thinking about the Apache woman. Her face stayed in his mind even when he tried to focus on other things. He started to feel something he had not felt for a long time. It was not just curiosity. It was a feeling that made him wonder if he had been wrong about many things. He had always believed that the world was divided into two kinds of people: those who were strong and those who were weak, those who belonged and those who did not, those who were free and those who were not. He had built his life on those ideas. He had believed that if someone was different, they must be a threat. But the Apache woman had challenged everything he believed. She had shown him that a person could be strong even if they were forced into a difficult life. She had shown him that a person could be kind even if they were treated cruelly. She had shown him that the heart could stay brave even when the world was unfair. The rancher began to notice small details about her that others did not. He noticed how she spoke softly, but with meaning. He noticed how she listened carefully before she answered. He noticed how she did not waste words. He noticed how she looked at the animals with a gentle expression, as if she cared about them deeply. He realized that she was not like the others. She was not like the people who had grown up on the ranch. She had a different way of seeing the world, a way that was quiet but strong, a way that was patient but powerful. The rancher began to feel guilty. He felt guilty for the life she had been forced into. He felt guilty for not questioning the rules that had allowed her to be taken away from her home. He felt guilty for not seeing her sooner. He knew he had to do something, but he did not know what. He did not know if he was brave enough. He did not know if he could risk his reputation. He did not know if he could face the judgment of his friends and neighbors. One evening, after the work was done, the rancher called her to his office. The office was a small room with a desk and a few chairs. The walls were plain and the air felt heavy. The Apache woman entered slowly, feeling nervous. She did not know what he wanted. The rancher sat down and looked at her. He did not speak for a moment. He seemed to be thinking deeply. The Apache woman waited quietly, her hands clasped together. Finally, the rancher spoke. "I have been thinking about you," he said. "I know you are not here by choice. I know you did not do anything wrong." The Apache woman looked at him, surprised. She had never heard a man say something like that to her. She had never heard anyone admit that she was innocent. The rancher continued, "I want to help you, but I do not know how." The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She did not trust him completely. She had learned not to trust too quickly. She had learned that promises could be broken. She had learned that kindness could be fake. She did not say anything. She simply looked at him, waiting for him to explain. The rancher took a deep breath. He looked at her with a serious expression. "I am not sure what will happen if I help you. People might judge me. They might think I am weak. They might think I am doing something wrong." The Apache woman listened carefully. She could hear the fear in his voice. She could hear the conflict in his heart. She could hear that he was trying to do something that was difficult for him. She thought about the life she had lived. She thought about the many times she had been forced to accept things she did not want. She thought about the feeling of being controlled. She thought about the feeling of being powerless. She knew that the rancher was struggling. She knew that he was trying to decide between what was easy and what was right. The rancher continued, "I want to give you freedom. But I am not sure if I can. I am not sure if I am brave enough." The Apache woman felt a mixture of emotions. She felt hope but also fear. She felt grateful but also cautious. She felt a small spark of trust, but she was not ready to fully believe. She decided to speak. She spoke softly but with a clear voice. "Please trust me." The rancher froze. The words surprised him. He had not expected her to speak so openly. He had not expected her to ask him for trust. The Apache woman continued, "I have lived a life where I had to be careful. I have lived a life where I could not trust anyone. I understand that you are afraid. I understand that you worry about what others will think." The rancher listened, his eyes fixed on her. He felt a strange feeling in his chest. He felt a warmth he had not felt in a long time. He felt something like hope. The Apache woman continued, "But I promise you I will not harm you. I will not cause trouble. I only want to live. I only want to be free. I only want a chance to be a person again." The rancher felt his throat tighten. He could feel tears forming in his eyes, but he quickly blinked them away. He did not want to show weakness. He did not want to be seen as someone who was easily moved. He looked at her for a moment. He thought about the life she had been forced into. He thought about the pain she had suffered. He thought about the way she had survived. He realized that she was not asking for a miracle. She was asking for a chance to live. The rancher stood up slowly. He walked to the window and looked outside. The sky was darkening and the stars were beginning to appear. The ranch was quiet. The animals were resting. The world seemed peaceful. He turned back to her. "I do not know if I can trust you," he said honestly, "but I want to try. I want to believe that you are telling the truth." The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She could not believe what she was hearing. She had not expected him to say that. She bowed her head slightly. She did not know how to respond. She felt overwhelmed. She felt grateful. She felt scared. The rancher continued, "I will think about it. I will think about how I can help you, but I need you to understand something." The Apache woman looked up. "What is it?" the rancher said. "If I help you, it will not be easy. It will not be simple. It will be dangerous. People will talk. People will judge. People will try to stop us." The Apache woman nodded slowly. She understood. She had lived a life of danger. She had lived a life of judgment. She was not afraid of what others thought. She was afraid of losing the chance to live freely. The rancher continued, "I want to help you, but you must be patient. You must be careful. You must trust me too." The Apache woman felt a small smile form on her lips. It was a smile she had not felt in a long time. She nodded. "I will trust you," she said softly. The rancher looked at her with a serious expression. He knew that trust was not something that could be given easily. He knew that it was something that had to be earned. He knew that it was something that could be broken. But he also knew that he could not ignore the feeling in his heart. He could not ignore the fact that he wanted to do what was right. He could not ignore the fact that the Apache woman had touched something inside him. He did not know what the future held. He did not know if he would be brave enough to free her. He did not know if he would be able to face the consequences. But he knew one thing for sure. He could not go back to the way things were. He could not pretend that he did not see her. He could not pretend that he did not care. He could not pretend that the world was simple. And as the night grew darker, the rancher and the Apache woman sat in silence, both thinking about the future, both feeling the weight of the choice ahead, both holding onto a small spark of hope, a spark that would soon grow into something much stronger. The rancher could not sleep that night. He lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling, thinking about the Apache woman. He thought about her words, "Please, trust me." He thought about her eyes, her quiet strength, and the way she had spoken with honesty. He wondered if he could really help her. He wondered if he could risk everything for someone he barely knew. He got up early the next morning, even before the sun had risen. The ranch was still quiet. The animals were still sleeping. The world seemed calm, but his mind was not. He felt the weight of the decision pressing on him. He knew that if he helped her, his life would change forever. He walked outside and looked at the land he had worked so hard to build. The field stretched out like a sea of green. The sky was slowly turning pink. The air was cool and fresh. He felt the peace of the morning, but he also felt the fear of the unknown. He thought about the people in the town. He thought about his friends. He thought about the way they would react if they found out he was helping the Apache woman. He thought about the way they might judge him. He thought about the way they might turn against him. He knew that people were afraid of what they did not understand. He knew that they were quick to judge. He knew that they were quick to blame. He knew that they would not stop to listen. But he also knew that he could not ignore the truth. He could not ignore the fact that the Apache woman was a person. He could not ignore the fact that she deserved a chance. He could not ignore the fact that she had trusted him. He decided to do something that would surprise even himself. He decided to free her. He went to the place where she stayed. He found her in the small room she was given. She was sitting on the floor, cleaning a small bowl. She looked up when she heard him enter. Her eyes were tired, but she also looked alert, as if she was always ready for something to happen. The rancher spoke softly. "I have made a decision," he said. "I am going to help you." The Apache woman looked at him, surprised. She did not move. She did not speak. She waited to hear what he would say next. The rancher continued, "I will give you food, clothing, and money. I will help you find a safe place. I will help you start a new life." The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She could not believe what she was hearing. She had not expected him to be brave enough to do this. She had not expected him to risk his reputation for her. She stood up slowly, her hands shaking slightly. She looked at him, her eyes filled with emotion. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. The rancher looked at her with a serious expression. "Because I believe it is the right thing to do," he said. "Because I cannot keep you here. Because you deserve a chance to live." The Apache woman felt tears in her eyes. She had not cried in a long time. She had been too strong to cry. She had been too afraid to show emotion. But now the tears came without warning. She tried to wipe them away, but the rancher stopped her. He handed her a clean cloth and gently said, "It is okay to cry." The Apache woman nodded. She did not speak. She could not find the words. She was overwhelmed by the kindness she was being shown. The rancher continued, "We must be careful. We cannot let others know. People will not understand. They will try to stop us." The Apache woman listened carefully. She understood. She had lived a life where secrets were necessary. She had learned that safety often depended on silence. The rancher said, "I will help you leave tonight. I will take you to a safe place where you can start over, but you must promise me something." The Apache woman looked at him, waiting. "What is it?" she asked. The rancher said, "You must promise me that you will not cause trouble. You must promise me that you will stay safe. You must promise me that you will trust me." The Apache woman thought for a moment. She looked at him carefully. She saw the worry in his eyes. She saw the fear in his face. She saw the kindness in his heart. She nodded slowly. "I promise," she said softly, "I will trust you." The rancher felt a sense of relief. He felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. He felt like he was finally doing something that mattered. That evening, as the sun began to set, the rancher prepared for their journey. He packed food and water. He packed clothing and blankets. He packed a small amount of money. He made sure everything was ready. The Apache woman watched him quietly. She could not believe what was happening. She had never imagined that someone would risk so much for her. She had never imagined that someone would see her as a person. As the night grew darker, the rancher led her outside. The air was cool and the stars shined brightly in the sky. The ranch was quiet and the world felt still. They walked slowly, keeping their voices low. The rancher led her through a path that few people knew. He led her to a place where the land was open and the trees were tall. He led her to a place where she could breathe freely. The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She felt a mixture of fear and hope. She was leaving the only place she had known for a long time. She was leaving the life that had become her routine. She was leaving the world that had trapped her, but she was also leaving the life that had hurt her. She was leaving the world that had taken everything from her. She was leaving the place where she had felt invisible. She looked at the rancher. "Thank you," she whispered. The rancher nodded. "You are welcome," he said. "But remember, this is only the beginning. You still have a long journey ahead." The Apache woman nodded. She understood. She knew that freedom was not just leaving a place. Freedom was a new life. Freedom was a new beginning. Freedom was a chance to be herself again. The rancher gave her a small bag and a warm blanket. He told her to keep the blanket close. He told her to stay hidden during the day. He told her to move carefully. He then gave her a small amount of money. "This is enough for a start," he said. "Use it wisely." The Apache woman looked at the money. It was not much, but it was enough to buy a few things. It was enough to start a new life. It was enough to give her hope. The rancher then said, "I will not leave you alone. I will come back. I will check on you. I will make sure you are safe." The Apache woman felt her heart fill with gratitude. She had not expected him to care so much. She had not expected him to promise to return. She nodded, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she whispered again. The rancher watched her for a moment. He felt a strange feeling in his chest. He felt a connection to her that he could not explain. He felt like he had done something right. He then turned and walked away, leaving her in the quiet night. He watched her for a moment, making sure she was safe. He then disappeared into the darkness. The Apache woman stood alone for a moment, holding the bag and the blanket. She looked up at the stars. She felt the cool night air on her face. She felt free. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope. And as she began her journey into the unknown, she knew that her life was about to change forever. The Apache woman walked quietly through the dark desert. The stars above her were bright and calm, and the air was cool. For the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of freedom. She felt like she was not being watched. She felt like she could finally breathe. But she also felt fear. Freedom was new to her. She did not know what to do with it. She had spent so many years living in fear and silence that she did not know how to live in a world where she could make her own choices. She walked slowly, following the path the rancher had shown her. She moved carefully, hiding behind trees and bushes when she heard a sound. She stayed quiet, not because she was afraid of being punished, but because she wanted to stay safe. She thought about the rancher. She thought about his words, his kindness, and the way he had trusted her. She wondered why he had done it. She wondered why he had risked his life for her. She wondered if he had ever felt this kind of hope before. She remembered the moment he had told her he would help her. She remembered the way his voice had sounded. She remembered the way his eyes had looked. She remembered the way he had stood beside her, even when it was dangerous. She felt grateful. She felt a deep respect for him. She did not know if she would ever see him again, but she knew that he had changed her life forever. As she walked, she thought about her family. She thought about her mother and father. She thought about her brothers and sisters. She thought about the camp where she had grown up. She wondered if they were still alive. She wondered if they were safe. She had no way of knowing. She had no way of finding out. The world had taken them from her, and now she was alone. But she also knew that she was not truly alone. She had the memory of her family in her heart. She had the memory of her home in her mind. She had the memory of her people in her soul. Those memories gave her strength. They gave her courage. They reminded her that she was not just a person who had been captured. She was a person who had a past, a history, and a culture. She continued walking until the sun began to rise. The sky turned pink and orange, and the desert became bright. She found a small place near a tree and sat down for a moment. She ate a little food from the bag the rancher had given her. She drank water and rested. She looked around and tried to plan her next steps. She knew she could not stay in one place for too long. She knew she needed to find a safe place where she could start a new life. She needed to find a place where she could work, where she could live, where she could be herself. She thought about the rancher again. She wondered if he would keep his promise. She wondered if he would come back. She wondered if he would check on her. She did not know, but she hoped. Hope was something she had not felt in a long time. Hope was a strange feeling, but it felt good. It felt like a warm light in the darkness. Days passed, and the Apache woman continued her journey. She moved carefully, always staying alert. She avoided towns where she might be recognized. She avoided people who looked suspicious. She kept her head low and her eyes sharp. She used the money the rancher had given her to buy food and supplies. She bought simple things like a small bag, a blanket, and a few pieces of cloth. She bought some food that would last. She bought water. She bought a few small items that would help her survive. She did not waste the money. She used it wisely. She knew that this money was a gift, and she did not want to waste it. She wanted to honor the kindness that had been shown to her. She also began to think about the future. She thought about what kind of life she wanted. She thought about what kind of person she wanted to become. She thought about the dreams she had once had before she was captured. She remembered her dream of living near the river, where the water was clear and the trees were tall. She remembered her dream of having a small home, where she could plant a garden and grow food. She remembered her dream of living in peace, where she could speak freely and laugh freely. She did not know if those dreams would come true, but she held on to them. She held on to them like a precious treasure. One evening, after several weeks of traveling, the Apache woman reached a small town near the edge of the desert. It was a quiet place with simple houses and a few shops. She felt nervous as she entered the town. She did not know if she would be accepted. She did not know if people would judge her. She walked slowly through the town, looking for a safe place to rest. She found a small inn and decided to stay there for a while. The inn was simple and clean. The owner was kind and welcoming. The Apache woman felt relieved. She felt like she could finally rest. She felt like she could finally take a breath. She stayed at the inn for a few days, working quietly. She helped clean the rooms, cook food, and serve guests. The owner noticed her hard work and her quiet nature. He began to trust her. One day, while she was working, the inn owner asked her about her life. He did not ask in a cruel way. He asked with kindness. He asked because he wanted to understand. The Apache woman hesitated at first. She did not want to share her story. She did not want to risk being judged. But the owner looked sincere and she felt safe. She told him a small part of her story. She told him that she had been forced to work on a ranch, but that she had been freed. She told him that she was trying to start a new life. She did not mention the rancher's name. She did not mention the details. She simply shared enough to show that she was not hiding. The inn owner listened quietly. He nodded. He did not judge. He did not question. He simply offered his support. "You are welcome here," he said softly. "You can stay as long as you need." The Apache woman felt her heart fill with gratitude. She felt a sense of belonging for the first time in a long time. She felt like she had found a place where she could be herself. As the weeks passed, she became a part of the small town. She worked at the inn and the people began to know her. They saw her hard work. They saw her kindness. They saw her quiet strength. Some people were curious about her. Some people were suspicious. But most people accepted her. They did not see her as a threat. They saw her as a person. The Apache woman began to feel hopeful. She began to feel like she could build a life. She began to feel like she could have a future. But even as she started to settle, she could not forget the rancher. She wondered if he had kept his promise. She wondered if he had returned to check on her. She wondered if he was safe. She missed him, but she did not know why. She did not know why her heart felt warm when she thought of him. She did not know why she felt a strange connection to him. She tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept coming back. She realized that she cared for him. She realized that she felt something deeper than gratitude. She realized that she was beginning to love him. She did not know if he felt the same. She did not know if he would ever see her again. She did not know if their lives could ever be together. But she held onto the hope. She held onto the belief that love could grow even in the hardest places. Then one day, as she was walking through the town, she saw a familiar figure in the distance. A tall man with strong shoulders walking slowly toward her. Her heart beat faster. She could not believe her eyes. The man came closer. It was the rancher. He looked older, but his eyes were the same. His face showed signs of worry and care. He looked tired, but he also looked happy. He looked like a man who had been through a long journey. The Apache woman stood still. She did not know what to do. She felt a flood of emotions. She felt fear, hope, and joy all at once. The rancher stopped in front of her. He looked at her with a soft expression. "I kept my promise," he said quietly. The Apache woman felt tears in her eyes. She could not speak. She simply nodded. The rancher continued, "I came back to make sure you were safe. I wanted to see if you were okay. I wanted to see if you were living a good life." The Apache woman looked at him, her heart full. She realized that he had not forgotten her. She realized that he had cared for her even after she left. She realized that he had not just freed her. He had also stayed true to his promise. She spoke softly. "Thank you," the rancher smiled. "You are welcome," he said, "but I did not come here just to check on you." The Apache woman looked at him, surprised. "What do you mean?" The rancher took a deep breath. "I have been thinking about you every day," he said. "I have been thinking about what you said. I have been thinking about the way you trusted me." He looked at her with honesty in his eyes. "I believe in you. I believe in your strength. I believe in your heart." The Apache woman felt her heart beat faster. She felt a warmth spread through her body. She felt something she had never felt before. The rancher continued, "I want to be with you. I want to build a life with you. I know it will not be easy. I know people will talk. I know there will be challenges." The Apache woman listened carefully. She felt her heart fill with hope. She felt like her life was finally coming together. The rancher said, "But I am willing to face it. I am willing to risk everything for you." The Apache woman felt tears fall from her eyes. She had never expected this. She had never expected to be loved. She had never expected to find someone who cared so deeply. She looked at the rancher and spoke softly, "I love you." The rancher's eyes softened. He smiled. "I love you too," he said. They stood together in the small town, under the bright sky, surrounded by people who were slowly learning to accept them. They knew their journey would not be easy, but they also knew that they had found something rare and beautiful. They had found trust. They had found freedom. They had found love. And in the quiet town where the desert met the sky, their love took root and began to grow.